Hi, I'm Anupam. Let's understand business. In the present session, I shall be throwing light on the Harvard Shade model of consumer behavior. The Harvard Shade model? Well, before we discuss the Harvard Shade model, let us understand what is a model. A model is a representation of reality, and in this case, it is a graphical representation. This model attempts to explain rational brand choice behavior within the constraints of limited individual capacities and incomplete information. Now, you must be wondering, what do we mean by this rational brand behavior? Rational brand behavior is what a person shows while making a choice logically and through logical reasoning. This particular model takes into consideration three distinct stages of decision making: the extensive problem solving, limited problem solving, and routinized response behavior. Now, coming to extensive problem solving. What is this extensive problem solving? It is the early stage of decision making when the buyer has little information of the brand and the buyer choice criteria is not yet formed. In the limited problem solving, it is the advanced stage of decision making where the choice criteria are now defined while the buyer is still undecided about the best brand. And finally, we come to the routinized response behavior. It is one where the choice criteria are well defined, there is a strong predisposition towards one brand, and there is little evaluation of the alternatives by the buyer. You might be wondering what this little evaluation of alternatives mean. Well, the options which are available to the consumer in such a scenario are not so much considered as there is a strong bias towards a particular brand. Now, let us look at the parts of the Harvard Shade model, which are referred to as the postulates or set of constructs, concepts, or variables. First is the inputs, next is output, third is the hypothetical construct, which consists of the perceptual construct and the learning construct, and finally we have the exogenous variables. So we have the inputs, the hypothetical constructs consisting of the perceptual and learning construct, the outputs, and the exogenous variables. Now we shall try to understand each of these postulates separately. The input variables consist of three distinct stimuli or information sources: the significative stimuli, which are the physical brand characteristics as proclaimed by the selling organization, followed by the symbolic stimuli, which are the verbal and visual product characteristics, which denotes the understanding of an individual based on the information furnished by the selling organization. Here, you would note that all the points as covered under the significative inputs reappear under the symbolic inputs as well. This is because what has been proclaimed by the selling organization may not have exactly the same effect on the consumer. Thirdly, we have the social stimuli, which is the family influence, the social factors including the characteristics of the family, the reference group, and the social class to which the individual belongs. All three stimuli form inputs to the consumer concerning the product class or the specific brands. Coming to the outputs, these are the result of the perceptual and learning variables, where a firm intention has been created within the mind of the consumer. The outputs are a response to these variables, which depends on the specific stage of decision making. Firstly, we have the routinized response behavior, in which the intention, which is already well formed, directly leads to a purchase. Secondly, the limited problem solving, in which an attitude which has already been formed based on prior purchase behavior leads to an intention that in turn reinforces the purchase. And thirdly, we have the extensive problem solving, in which case the consumer starts showing an output in the form of an attention followed by a brand comprehension, which in turn leads to an attitude formation, a strong intention, and finally a purchase. Moving on to the hypothetical construct, it is the central part of the model concerned with the consumer's decision contemplation, and by far the most important part of the model. It deals with the psychological variables. It consists of two parts, the perceptual and the learning constructs. Interaction between the different variables in the perceptual and learning construct and other sets give this model its distinctive advantage. Perceptual variables are concerned with consumers' receipt of information from significative stimuli and social factors on one hand, while the consumer's understanding of the information on the other hand. So, let us look at perceptual construct. Perceptual construct pertains to the way individual deals with information. That is, how the consumer receives information, how he understands the information, the stimulus ambiguity. What is it? It is when the consumer does not understand the message from the environment. The perceptual bias, which is when the consumer distorts information received so that it fits his or her established need or experience. Before we move ahead, let us revise our concepts of perception. What do you see in the picture? An old man with white flowing hairs and beard, or a rider on a white horse gazing a lady sleeping by the riverside? The difference is perception. The process by which an individual selects, organizes, and interprets stimuli into a meaningful and coherent picture of the world. It is how we see the world around us is what is perception. Since this model deals with perceptual bias, we need to understand what it is and how it gets formed. When it comes to the formation of perceptual bias, it starts from perceptual selection, where consumers subconsciously are selective as to what they perceive. Stimuli selected depends on two major factors: consumers' previous experience and consumers' motives. The selection depends on the nature of stimuli, expectations, and motives. While forming a perceptual bias, consumers show selective exposure, selective attention, perceptual defense, and perceptual blocking. Selective exposure is when consumers seek out messages which are pleasant, with which they can sympathize, and which reassures them of good purchases. Selective attention is heightened awareness when stimuli meets their need and consumers' preference to different messages and media, while perceptual defense and blocking are a mechanism which blocks out all the unfavorable stimuli. So, coming back to the model, let us understand perceptual construct. It pertains to the way individual deals with information, how the consumer receives information, how he understands information, which in turn leads to a stimulus ambiguity, when the consumer does not understand the message from the environment. He then goes for an overt search, which leads to certain amount of clarity, though ambiguity remains. What happens as a result is a heightened attention, leading to perceptual bias, which is when the consumer distorts information received so that it fits his or her established needs or experiences. Next, we come to the learning construct. In the learning construct, the consumer learns about the category, the consumer's goals, information about the brands, criteria for evaluation, alternatives, preferences, and buying intention. Before we discuss the learning construct in details, let us have a look at learning. Learning refers to any change in content or organization of long-term memory or behavior. Learning are the changes in an individual's behavior arising from experience, a process by which individuals acquire purchase and consumption knowledge and experience that they apply to future related behavior. Consumer behavior is largely a learned behavior. Learning is influenced by the importance, involvement, mood, reinforcement, and stimulus repetition. As per the Harvard-Shade model, consumer learns about criteria for evaluation, alternatives, category, preference, consumer goals, information about brands, and the buying intentions. Let's come back to understanding the learning construct. Once the perceptual bias has been established in the case of routinized response behavior, this bias leads directly to an intention to buy. In the case of limited problem solving, perceptual bias helps in brand comprehension. The satisfaction from previous purchases along with brand comprehension gives rise to an attitude towards the product, along with a fair amount of confidence, which in turn leads to an intention to buy. Lastly, in extensive problem solving, the perceptual bias helps firm up the buying motives, the choice criteria, leading to attitude formation, which gives rise to an intention to buy. Now, let us try and understand the model operating at the three stages of purchase, starting from the extensive problem solving. In the case of extensive problem solving, an individual is exposed to the significative cues as propagated by the selling organization, and his interactions within his social group lead to the symbolic inputs as attained by him. These inputs start a series of thought processes within the consumer's brain, which has been explained in the hypothetical construct of the model. The first mental cue is the development of a stimulus ambiguity, which usually leads to an overt search which the consumer does from among the significative inputs. As a result, a certain amount of clarity arises, yet the cue remains a lot ambiguous. The whole process causes a mental attention, which in turn crystallizes in the form of perceptual bias. This perceptual bias helps in the formation of a choice criteria. The consumer now starts comprehending the brands, and a clear motive for the purchase arises. This motive reinforces an overt search, yet again, through which the consumer gains confidence on the brand. This confidence is yet another impetus towards an attention, as a result of which the intention towards an output is shown. The first and foremost output is consumers' attention towards the brand, which gradually moves on in the form of brand comprehension. At the same time, mentally, the consumer starts forming an attitude towards the brand, which also starts showing in the output. This attitude gets reinforced through the consumer's attention and brand comprehension, leading to an even stronger perceptual bias. This perceptual bias firms up the consumer's attitude towards the brand comprehension and choice criteria, leading to a reinforcement of his intention. These set of mental processes increases the level of confidence and pushes the intention towards a purchase. Now, let us try and understand the extensive problem solving with the help of a simple example. Let's assume that you go out to buy your first car. You get the basic information cues from what has been advertised by the various companies, which is the significative inputs, and what your friends, family, and other peer groups tell you, to which are the social inputs. The significative and the social inputs create your own understanding about the products, which is the symbolic input. These inputs mentally create a stimulus ambiguity. That is, the information which you gather is more or less ambiguous. You conduct an overt search from the available literature and thus start forming an attention towards the product. The attention leads to a perceptual bias through which you understand the different brands, the choice criteria, and you start forming your motive for the purchase. As you see in this picture, there are different car options available. Each has its own strength, own weaknesses. So you would start forming your criteria based on your level of understanding, your motive as to what you require for your first car. Now, in light of the found motives, an overt search ensues, which results in a perceptual bias, leading to an intention for an output. You now start checking out the various brands and models based on your mental attention, leading to a better understanding of the brands and formation of an attitude towards the various brands. Now, mentally, you understand the brand and choice criteria is now firmed up, reinforcing your perceptual bias. This reinforcement boosts your confidence in your chosen brand on one side, while on the other, your attitude and this newfound confidence pushes you towards the purchase. Congratulations, you have purchased your new car. Now, let us look at limited problem solving through an example. Supposedly, you need to buy a shirt for which you go out to a departmental store. At this instance, you are aware of the brands, about your motives for the purchase, and the choice criteria pertaining to the kind of shirt you need to buy. As an output, your attention would straight away be directed towards your choice. You have an intention for the purchase, and through a process of selection, you would form an attitude towards the select. You gain certain amount of confidence. As a result, your attention gets further focused and the perceptual bias is reinforced. Your choice criteria pushes your attitude towards an intention to buy. As this is not for the first time that you are purchasing a shirt, your previous experience, which may have resulted in satisfaction with the brand, increases your confidence. And you have purchased your shirt. Now, let's move on to the third scenario, which again we will discuss with the help of an example. Routinized response behavior is what happens when you go out to buy your daily grocery. The inputs are well entrenched, the perceptual bias is firmly in place, and you need not learn much to make your purchase. As an output, you already have an intention to buy a particular product. Your previous purchases have instilled sufficient amount of satisfaction, leading to your understanding about the brands available, and your attitude is firm towards it. This reinforces your confidence and you directly go out to buy. Now coming to the last part of the Harvard-Shade model, which is the exogenous variables. These are those variables which have an outside effect on the complete buying behavior. They include importance of purchase. If you are going to your friend's marriage, you may tend to spend a bit more effort in choosing the right shirt. Or if the last time your bread was stale, you might be tempted in choosing a different brand. The personality variables, where choosing a loaf of bread may be a routine to you, but it may not be so for your friend. In case of social class, people from different social background may put in different amount of stress for a purchase. Similarly, there would be cultural factors, organizational differences, time pressures, and difference in financial status which also affect the overall purchase behavior. Harvard-Shade model is a comprehensive model which tries to explain the buying behavior under diverse scenarios. However, it has still been criticized on various grounds. The Harvard-Shade model has only been partially tested. It does not explain the non-systematic behavior. The Harvard-Shade model does recognizes the exogenous factors but explains little on the same. For more on Harvard-Shade model, you may go through the books as enlisted. For other related topics, you may go through the following. If you like this video and for any further details and comments, please write in at anupamkr@gmail.com. Thank you.